Good morning, everyone. Pam Jacobson here. For those of you tuning in that may not know who I am, I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to introduce myself. I am the owner of a functional medicine clinic in Southern California in Tustin. The clinic is called the Healing Sanctuary, and much of my work these days, like most of us in the world that are focused in healthcare, is through telemedicine. So I'm doing mostly phone consultation with uh, people with all types of conditions, anything from autoimmune disease and cancer to general health issues. And of course, a lot of the work that I've been doing lately has had much more to do with concerns about our current health crisis that we're in and what we can do to help ourselves. So I'm going to talk a lot about that today. But my background is my entire career has been in healthcare. I started out in Western medicine, trained as a nurse, spent many of my years in my career in oncology to care for cancer patients. A really difficult field to be in conventional medicine because it's can be challenging to feel like you're making a big difference in the lives of patients. I had my own health issues during that time, and that led me down a bit of a different path, and I ultimately became interested in pursuing a more integrative focus to my ability to offer my clients help. And so I went back to school, got my master's degree in Chinese medicine, opened a practice in Southern California in 2005, and then continued my training in what is now known as the field of functional or integrative medicine. Simply means that we're focused on how to restore function in the body before it becomes disease, or the prevention end of medicine. So I currently have a both a physical practice as well as a telemedicine practice working with my clients to help reestablish function. I also am the chief medical officer for a company called Level 10 Health. And I have worked with this company to create a product line that I'm very proud of, and as well as wellness and coaching programs for this company's client base. So you'll find me kind of in a couple of different places when you're out there looking around the internet world. So a little bit about me, a disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not here to dispense medical advice. I'm not your doctor. So anything that I do talk about today, of course, we're all different. We all have different health issues and maybe different medication profiles. So anything I might recommend, you certainly need to be checking with your healthcare providers and practitioners, if especially if you're taking medications or have any current disease process. So this is going to be a weekly segment. So for those of you who are interested and you have particular topics that you would like me to kind of open up a Q&A about, I'm happy to do that. Of course, it's going to have to be in the realm of preventive medicine, lifestyle medicine, functional medicine, health in general. If I can't answer your questions, I'll certainly endeavor to do my research and get back to you on that. But this will be every Wednesday, 9 o'clock Pacific time. We'll open it up to a Q&A. I'll try to keep it interesting and relatively short each week. But I look forward to having you all tune in. Having said that, I think it's about 9:04, so hopefully most of you figured out how to get on here. You do have to set up your own uh, account, I guess you can say, or your own registration in YouTube in order to be able to make comments and ask questions so that I can see them here. So if you're online with me now, just give me a high five or a hi so that I know who's here. You can type your questions in. If you're not finding that you have the ability to do that, maybe because you haven't registered with YouTube with your own account. It doesn't. You can do it right now. It's not doesn't cost anything, but it'll give you the ability to interact here. Otherwise, you can just sit back and I will pretend like I have a big audience out there and give you the information. You will walk away with information whether you can interact or not. So anyway, let's get started. I'm going to talk about the top of mind subject right now, of course, is COVID-19. Is my immune system good enough? How can I help myself? And it's very confusing when you look at or when you listen to, the current information that's available to most of us in the typical mainstream media. And I want to caution all of you to be very careful, first of all, about how much you're stressing your nervous system by leaving your television on 24/7 and really, looking at the news constantly. The bottom line is the virus is here. It's being considered a pandemic. I think depending on what you're looking at, it's depending on where you live. Some of us are having a harder time with the numbers of people in our area that are impacted. But the bottom line is, it becomes your personal responsibility to make sure that you're doing everything to make yourself as safe as possible, as protected as possible. And that's really what I'm going to talk about. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about treatment. And I just got a question about explaining the relationship between magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K, and I will get around to that. I'm going to talk about the supplements. So, anyway, in terms of being careful about the media, I am looking at what I call the behind the scenes media that's available to a lot of us healthcare practitioners. I really look at what the researchers are saying. So much research going on. We're learning stuff every day about the virus, and really, I'm interested in what happens once it gets inside the body, because all of our bodies are a bit different. Our genetic structure is different, and it's one of the reasons why we're seeing such unpredictability, right? We're seeing people who are young and supposedly healthy having either death or major illness with this virus that was not expected. And that has a lot to do with a person's genetic underpinning. And I know the first question would be, well, geez, how do we know, and what could I possibly do about that? So I will talk about it. But I am following that kind of behind the scenes information, which has helped me to have a better idea of what I can be advising for immune health, and where I can point my clients and patients when it's necessary in terms of needing some type of a treatment. So, when it comes to answering the question about how good your immune system is and what you can do for prevention, I think the first line of defense, other than, of course, at this point being home and when you're out, protecting yourself, that just sort of goes without saying. But in terms of your own personal immune system, it starts with a baseline health. And if any of you have been watching my videos, I've been talking about this now for a few weeks. It's your responsibility to create this baseline health, and I feel like now is more important than ever, probably in your lifetime, that you need to take the time you've been given to figure out how to create daily routines around a good, optimized health baseline. It's absolutely critical at this juncture, but it's going to be critical going forward, right? Because this is going to be the new normal, right? We now have encountered a virus that's unlike anything that we've ever seen, and it's we're going to continue to see that going forward. So it's going to be important then that you understand the things that you can do to protect yourself and your loved ones, and that starts at home with you, with the decisions that you make on a daily basis. So a very wise gentleman that I work with, I consult with his company, and I consider him to be somewhat of a mentor, has kind of coined the acronym MEDS, MEDS. And he tells his clients in his weekly discussions with them that it's really important that they take their daily meds. And that really is an acronym to remind you of the importance of the daily routines that you need to create around particular areas of your lifestyle. Meds is for mindset, meditation, mind body connection. In my world, that's things like meditation, biofeedback, some forms of yoga. E is for exercise or movement. Movement of the body is critical. I've heard some controversies about, well, we should be really careful about over exercising at this point. Or the bottom line is that you need to move your body every day in a variety of ways. The science says that we need to be moving our bodies in cardiovascular ways, in flexibility ways, in strength ways, and there's no reason at this point to dial that back. Of course, you could damage yourself with overexercise, but that's probably not the majority of us. It's not the time to go all out and get crazy with your exercise, but it is an important time, I think, to if you've not been someone who's accustomed to moving your body every day, now's the time to do that. So, walking is a great exercise, especially outside. Get out and hike. I mean, in Southern California, it's going to be in the 90s today. It's amazing. The weather's beautiful. But no matter where you are, right? Get out in the sunshine, get out and commune with nature. You've been given the gift of this time. Many of us have more control over our schedule than we've ever had. So take some breaks in between the things you're doing during the day and move yourself. Do it every day. There's just really no excuse. The D stands for diet. And I think most of us understand the importance of nutrition, but never has it been more important that you make the best possible decisions you can on a daily basis about your diet. I think, I saw a webinar last week with some of the top experts in the field of integrative medicine. And one of them is this amazing scientist, immunologist, and the audience asked him a question about one of the most important things he thought that people needed to be careful about doing. And he absolutely didn't even take a second to think about it. He said, sugar. Sugar is the killer of the immune system. You need to have it out of your diet. So, if I could give you any diet advice today, because I'm not going to take time to go into the diet. You can ask me specific questions if you choose, but really, really, really limit your packaged processed foods that are going to drive sugar dysregulation in your body. And these are not always just things that are sweet, like candy and cookies and desserts. This can be high carbohydrate foods, eating a lot of like potatoes and rice and crackers and breads and pastas. You have to be very, very careful. I would say, if anything, this is the time to overdo eating fruits and vegetables, because that's where you're going to get a lot of those natural immune protection nutrients from. The S in med stands for sleep. And in my book, sleep is the number one most important thing. And the reason is because it takes at least 8 hours of sleep for the body to reboot, to regenerate, to reset itself, and to reestablish the immune system in a good way. So, if you're not getting 8 hours of sleep, and it's not quality sleep, it's not enough just to be in bed for 8 hours, it has to be good quality sleep, then you are really compromising the opportunity for good immune health. So, just to review real quickly, sleep, critically important. Moving your body every day, critically important. Having a daily routine around stress response management, mind body connection, meditation, biofeedback. I've got lots of great, ideas, apps, resources that I can give you for each of these if you're interested. Diet, rich in fruits and vegetables, moderate in proteins, eat lots of good fats, and really, really, limit your intake of things like dairy and corn and soy, and really processed and sugary foods. So, lifestyle has to be your number one focus when it comes to creating a health baseline for your immune system. There's not a medication and there's not a supplement out there that's going to fix immune health or support immune health if you are not doing these things for your health baseline. I can't stress that enough. It has become the majority of the focus in my practice with my clients. So, moving on, then, if you are doing your lifestyle baseline, then there are some amazing things that you can do to support and supplement your immune health. And I'm going to give you a list. If you're interested in dosing, you can watch my other videos here on the channel. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time and give people a chance to ask the questions that they have. But there are some really basic things that I would recommend that you be using during this time if you have not already been. Vitamin D is critically important, and some of this is from my training in functional medicine and all the years that I've been practicing my knowledge base, but a lot of this is also coming from some of these resources that I told you that I've been following, where these medical resources are actually recommending certain what we would think of as nutritionally based supplementation, and some of us might think of them as vitamins, which you wouldn't expect a conventional medical environment to be discussing, are actually being recommended in this all around this viral process, because starting in China, they found that by using things like high dose vitamin C and zinc and some Chinese herbs, that they were able to, when combined with their conventional treatments, get a real handle on helping their patients. And so some of that's now been adopted in the US, and certainly in the functional medicine community. We understood the reasons for this all along, and always, believed that these things would be helpful. So vitamin D, again, if you know what your vitamin D level is, you're already supplementing vitamin D. I would say over the next month or two, while we're um, hoping to see the curve flatten, but if you look at the news, even as of today, there's a very strong possibility we'll actually see a big increase as we start to reopen our daily lives and re-expose ourselves. So more important now than ever, even in this time frame, to make sure that you're doing everything you can to protect your immune system. Vitamin D is a great way to do that. You can take it as a supplement, a liquid, or a capsule. I'm recommending 10,000 units a day. But again, it's your responsibility to know what your levels are. You can get too much vitamin D. You don't want to be over 100 in your blood level. So 10,000 units a day, most of us are going to be able to do 10,000 units a day for a 30, 60-day period without creating any kind of an issue. So that's what I'm recommending on a vitamin D. Vitamin A is very important for immune health. Again, you can get it as a liquid, you can get it as a capsule, somewhere around 10,000 international units. Vitamin C, actually, even in the treatment aspect of this disease, they're using high dose IV vitamin C in the hospital setting. In the home setting, you would be taking it orally. You won't be able to get nearly the amount into your body that an IV would. However, having said that, a minimum of 1,000 milligrams a day, vitamin C, all different forms. It's a little bit hard to find right now. Any of you that have trouble, getting any of these types of things, you absolutely can reach out to me, and I can help you. Some of you in my sphere already have accounts with the distributor that we use, but I also am working directly with my manufacturers, especially in some of these hard to get supplements like vitamin C. One of the questions or one of the comments is that, and this is from one of my counterparts in functional medicine, is that that medical doctors and functional medicine physicians are feeling that the accepted level of vitamin D is not enough, and how much would I recommend in terms of your level. So when it comes to a blood level of vitamin D, in my world, we're looking at optimized to somewhere between 70 and 80. And so just to give you a frame of reference for that, because I do vitamin D testing on all of my patients, because, so let me just give it just a quick education on vitamin D. First of all, it's not a vitamin. I'm not sure why it's called vitamin D. It's a steroid hormone. And it's not available in the food supply. So unlike vitamin C and vitamin A, which you can usually get, a lot of that through the foods you eat, vitamin D is not readily available in the food supply. It comes from your exposure to sunlight. When the sunlight hits the skin, it creates this very complex process to begin to synthesize that vitamin D into a usable form in the human body. And once in our cells, it has so many functions. It's involved in every important function of the body, but it has a huge impact on our immune health. So there's obviously a lot of research and ongoing research in vitamin D. There's also a lot of controversy about how much do we really need? What's it really beneficial for? And we know that vitamin D is critical for bone health. It's critical for immune health. And even 10 years ago, when I went to a conference where the presenters were Cornell and Yale on the latest vitamin D research, even way back then, they were recommending a minimum of a level of 60 in the blood panel for vitamin D. And that was the minimum for good cardiovascular health. So they were talking about it in terms of our cardiovascular system. In the functional world, the optimal level is between 70 and 80. But the reality is that in my practice, it can be challenging to get people above 50, even with these higher doses of vitamin D. Very, very rarely do I see someone get up into the 90 range or go over 100. The idea here is we keep you somewhere between 70, 80, 90 would be my max. I don't want you to be over 100. But the reality is, the minute I have a patient stop vitamin D, their levels plummet right back down to where they were. So, and something that's very important to know too about vitamin D is there was a study done several years ago out of MD Anderson, the big cancer hospital in Texas, looking at nutrients that were low in all cause, so any type of cancer diagnosis. They were looking at antioxidant levels and vitamin D levels. And what they found that was no matter what type of cancer they were looking at, every single person in the study had very low clinical levels of both vitamin D and antioxidants. So we understand the importance of vitamin D when it comes to immune health, and it's no different here. There's not, I don't think, any type of health practitioner out there that wouldn't say that vitamin D is a critical piece of this idea of securing your immune health. So, vitamin D, 10,000 units. If you know what your level is and it's already pretty low, you can easily do more than that. But again, easy to check. Just have your physician do a blood test, or if you're in my sphere, reach out to me. I can give you a lab slip to have it done. Vitamin C, we were talking about. Again, this is another one where, 1,000 milligrams is really the minimum. Many of us can tolerate much more than that. Here's how you know kind of what level of vitamin C is going to be good for you is you slowly increase your dose. I usually do it by 500 milligrams at a time over, give your body a couple of days. Vitamin C in high doses can be a real irritant to the digestive system. So when you get up to what I would consider to be your maximum need or the maximum level, you'll get a little bit of a loose stool. When that happens, then you just back down to your previous dose. So you might be one of those people that can only tolerate 1,000 milligrams. I've got patients that can tolerate 10,000 milligrams. So slowly dose yourself up, and then that would be the level you stay at, right? Loose stool is one of the indications that you've got a bit more vitamin C than you actually need. Another really important supplement that many of you are certainly aware of is zinc. And I want to talk about the importance of zinc when it comes to immune health, but the challenges that we have with zinc, because you're all hearing, and maybe some of you are already doing what we consider to be high dose zinc, 100 milligrams a day. The body actually only needs very small amounts of zinc, and most of us get all we need from our dietary intake on a daily basis. And the cellular structure of the body actually does not admit large amounts of zinc into the cell because large or high doses of zinc can be problematic inside a cell, right? It can cause some issues, cause some cell apoptosis or cell death or cell suicide. So the cells protect themselves from allowing too much zinc in. However, zinc absolutely can stop the replication of an RNA virus like COVID-19. So, in order for zinc to get inside the cell in these larger amounts that we're taking, you need some assistance with that. So, just any old zinc supplement's probably really not going to get the level of zinc inside the cell that's necessary. And this is where you see some of the drugs that are being touted right now, like the hydrochloroquine, the malaria drug. What it does is assists zinc in higher doses to get into the cell. And I want it's a complex process, but essentially it helps the zinc get into the cell. It also changes the pH of the cell. That also causes the inability for the replication to happen. But I don't have access to malaria drugs, and you don't have access to malaria drugs unless you get the illness and you're in the hospital. So, plus there's a lot of side effects, and I don't really advocate jumping on a malaria drug for prevention. But what I can say is that there are other natural options to help that zinc get inside the cell. And there's a product called Reactive Zinc from Orthomolecular that has some of these things combined with it. So the key here is to know the zinc product that you're taking, and to also understand that high dose zinc is not something that we're going to need long term, but it's helpful for us all right now. The other thing I would be careful about is zinc. You're going to want to make sure you're taking it with some food, because it can be an irritant also to the digestive system and cause a fair amount of nausea. I know for me, I can't take zinc without taking it with food. So we do need zinc. The recommendation right now is somewhere between 75 and 100 milligrams, which is a lot of zinc. And it's, again, not something that we would normally need, but do take it with food and do make sure you're taking a product that has other things in it, such as quercetin, that can assist the zinc into the cell. Otherwise, it's just floating around out there. It's really not going to get in there and do the job, which what we're looking for zinc to do is to stop the ability for the virus to replicate itself once it gets inside the cell. I had a question from someone about vitamin D and vitamin K and magnesium. So I talked about vitamin D. You'll find these days that vitamin D oftentimes is combined with vitamin K, and this is, often done primarily for the assistance for bone health. What we see is that vitamin D is important for bone health, but it becomes more supercharged when combined with vitamin K. However, if you are dosing these high levels of vitamin D and you're using a D plus K product, you do need to be careful there, because you increase your D, you're also increasing your K. So I'll usually have my clients, if they're taking a D-K combination, add just additional plain D, rather than increasing their K as well. And then magnesium. So magnesium, in the particular instance, I'm not exactly sure what the question was. Do all three of these things work together? Magnesium can assist with absorption. In the prevention strategy that I'm talking about today, I really see magnesium, because magnesium is critical for all function in the body, and it also tends to be the thing that is, I guess, considered one of the more common nutrient deficiencies that we see in humans, partly because the soils that our foods are grown in are stripped of a lot of the necessary minerals that we need. And so we're not getting magnesium in large amounts from our diet as we may have, say, 150 years ago. So most of us need to be supplementing with magnesium. It's super important for so many functions in the body, really important for the musculoskeletal system. If you're a person that has a lot of body aches and pains and trouble recovering after exercise, it's important for the nervous system. One of the most important things for calming nervous system. So in my list of immune support, I would put magnesium there. I like a powdered form that you use at bedtime, because it can help relax the nervous system, relax the musculoskeletal system, and really help deepen sleep. But when it's combined, and you'll see it in most combination products, magnesium is there oftentimes to assist with absorption. So another question from a client about sugar restriction, FedEx type 2, fasting average of 140. How soon can immunity be achieved at optimal levels once sugar is minimized? Really quickly, Janet, really quickly. So here's what I tell my the program that we put together for Level 10 Health. We call it the salad plate scenario. So for any of you that are looking to manage blood sugar better, and we want to look at it mainly from a dietary perspective, right? That we're talking about type 2 diabetes, not the acquired autoimmune form, but type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease for most of us, and it is driven by typically diet, stress, lack of sleep, lack of hydration. So all of these lifestyle situations I just talked about feed into blood sugar mismanagement, but none more so probably than diet. So portion control is important. So I tell my clients, eat on a salad plate, cover half of that plate in vegetables. So it's a 50, 25, 25 rule. 50% is a wide variety of vegetables. 25%, or the palm of your hand, would be whatever your protein choice is. And if you're vegan or vegetarian, again, lentils, beans, palm of your hand, not the plate. So that's your protein. And then 5 or 6 bites of anything else that you think you might have at that meal, whether it's rice or a potato or a starch. Make it a condiment, 5 or 6 bites, that would be it. And then use good fats liberally in the preparation and dressing of the meal. So that, you're getting most of your sugar from the high carbohydrate content of your meals and snacks. So again, it's not just things that are sugary and sweet, it's things that have high levels of carbohydrate. So if you eat a big bowl of oatmeal with brown sugar and berries for breakfast, and then for your snack, you have fruit on the bottom, yogurt, along with a banana, and then you sit down for lunch and you have a sandwich with bread, and then you have pasta for dinner, that is just an absolute sugar nightmare. So think about your meal in terms of the majority of it should be vegetables, good fats, moderate protein, and anything else that falls outside of that category, no more than 5 or 6 bites, right? That's going to be your starches, your carbs. Your snacks should be, again, fat, protein based, nuts and nut butter, seeds, veggies, things like that. So I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but we could do a whole segment just on diet. So let me know if you're interested in doing that. So I hope that answered your question, Janet. So again, back to that supplement list that I was talking about. Vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, your zinc. Remember, you have to take it along with something to help get it into the cell. Green tea, ECGC from green tea, also something that can help shove that zinc in. Huge antioxidant properties. Virusid, I love the product of Virusid. Again, another orthomolecular product. It has a ton of things in it to help the body with any kind of viral invasion. So something that can be both preventative and also help on the treatment side of things. A probiotic daily, a good broad spectrum probiotic is important. That good bacteria that lives in your digestive system actually makes a lot of the decisions about how well your body functions. And so you need to keep them happy. So your diet, number one, probiotic. Melatonin. So this is actually on the list of prevention is melatonin. So you want to take melatonin at bedtime, especially for these next couple of months, even if you don't think you need it, you've never used it, or you take it and you think it doesn't help you. It's not really, it's an antioxidant, it's an anti-inflammatory, so you're getting those benefits. It will deepen sleep, and right now our deep levels of sleep are going to be important for our immune system. So melatonin, I'm more comfortable with people at 3 milligrams. You'll see in the link that I'm going to tell you about in terms of the researchers have been following, they're now up to recommending between 6 and 12. I would say if you're going to use those higher doses temporarily, you make melatonin in your brain, so we don't want to shut down that system. The pH in the body is important, especially when we're talking about immune system health. So apple cider vinegar, lemon water, don't underestimate the power of those things. So that keeps you a relatively short list. There's lots of other things out there, but I think doing those things on a daily basis and you're taking your meds, you're doing a lot for prevention. As well, there's a product called Golden Flower from a lab that we use that was being used in China as a preventative for the virus. And I have a few minutes before I'm going to close this, and I want to talk about should you find yourself in a situation where you need treatment, right? You get sick, you actually get the virus. There's a few things that I want you to know about approaching treatment. If it's early on, there are Chinese herbal formulas available that were and have been used in China that can shorten the duration and the severity for some people. And I have access to that, and I'm happy to help you with that. There is a big immunology research group that's headed up by a immunology pulmonology researcher, and they have created a treatment protocol, this is an instruction list basically for your healthcare practitioners in places like urgent cares, emergency departments, and in hospitals once you find yourself in that level of situation. This protocol is changed and updated on almost a daily basis with the new information that we're learning about the virus. It talks about everything from when to intubate to how much airflow to what kinds of drugs should be administered. I think it's important for all of us to know that we have that kind of resource that we could give to our health practitioners. Those of us that are following these groups have asked that we make sure that this information is widely distributed. I'm going to give you the website link to that, and it's evms.edu/COVID care. And I would go on to their website, and I'll put that in here for you. I think I can type something in that you guys can see, evms.edu, and it's COVID care. Okay. So that's the web. When you get to the website, you'll see two links. One of them will say protocol summary. I like the summary, but the first link will give you all of the details, pictures of what the lung CTs look like. Not that you need to learn all of that, but you know what? I have it on my desktop and I check it every couple days. And if I got sick and I was finding I needed to go to the hospital, I would print that out and take it with me and make sure that my healthcare providers understood that I am aware that this is the latest information and that this is my expectation, right? This is how I want you to be carrying my treatment because this is moving so quickly. And especially in areas where you don't have a lot of COVID activity, your healthcare practitioners and hospitals may not have the most current information. So I think that's really important. And then finally, when it comes to treatment, I think it's important also to understand that genetics really comes into play here. So there's something called the cytokine storm. This is what we're seeing in people who develop, 12 and 13, 14 days into the virus, severe lung issues and organ failure and sometimes death. This has a lot to do with issues in genetic mutations in the body that allow for the immune system to go kind of out of control and attack your own tissue and create these problems in the organ tissue. So what can you do about that? Because most of you don't know, do I have that genetic deficiency? Could this happen to me? You don't know that. So again, let's go back to then, if I don't know that, what could I do to lessen the chances that that might happen? Well, don't get the virus in the first place. So stay away from the population as much as you can during this time. If you are out there, protect yourself. And then do everything you can on a daily basis to secure your immune health, right? Take your meds, take your additional supplementation. Have Virusid, have Silver Flowers, the Chinese herbal formula, have those things on hand. If you start to get any symptoms, you would start taking that right away. Have your information ready should you need to seek medical attention so that they're clear about what your expectations are. And I think you're then doing everything that you can. The inflammatory process in the body is what creates this cytokine storm. So do everything you can to lower inflammation, right? That's all the things we talked about. Melatonin is anti-inflammatory. Fruits and vegetables help with that. Your fish oil helps with that. So does turmeric. There's a really great product from Designs for Health called Inflammatone that I like a lot, that has a lot of anti-inflammatories in it. And that's something that I recommend that you be taking on a daily basis as well. Move your body, get out in the sunshine. So I hope that you all have found this helpful. I had a few questions. A few of you were here online. I hope that the information was helpful and that it, at least for those of you who are watching that weren't tuned in to be able to ask questions, I hope that I got questions and you want to contact me. You can reach out to me through, I'm just going to give you my personal email because it's shorter, Pam Jacobson, JACOBSON @AOL.com. All of my emails, my Healing Sanctuary, my Level 10 Health, everything comes to that one. So I'm just going to give you that one. It'll make it easier for you to contact me. If you have questions, if you need help getting access to supplementation, it is really hard right now to find zinc. But I have resources directly with my manufacturers to be able to help you get that. I can help you get the Chinese herbs as well. So please reach out. You can also call our office number at 714-730-2233 and leave a message, and it comes directly to me. So I'll be able to help you with that. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Next Wednesday, 9 a.m. If there's something you want to hear about, ping me and let me know, and I'll look forward to seeing y'all then. Take care. Thanks everybody for your questions.